Now, my last video on the darkest episode or episodes in animation slash Batman, I talked about torture and psychological manipulation and all these horrible things, and they are horrible. But there's different levels of disturbing content and dark animated episodes. And today I want to be talking about another one that I thought of, and that is about Harley Quinn in the Batman the Animated Series, the episode titled Mad Love. And some of the scariest Batman stories don't even come from these monsters or chemical accidents like Joker. Sometimes the darkest stories are sadly painfully human, and that goes for real life too. Mad Love is one of those stories, the chilling origin of Harley Quinn, and honestly a tale of obsession, manipulation, and abuse that remains unforgettable in Batman animation, but also the core dynamic of Joker and Harley. This episode introduced Harley, and if you guys don't know, Harley was an original character from this show, and it's kind of insane. Even though I know this, it's just insane to think about how such a big character nowadays came from a show like this, like an animated show. It's sometimes hard to believe that these iconic characters haven't just been around for 50 years all the time. Sometimes they're fairly new and fairly fresh, and Harley is definitely one of those. She has gained immense popularity as of late with things like the Suicide Squad or Harley Quinn Birds of Prey or video games, or just her pop culture impact alone. There is a gigantic spike for sure, and for good reason, honestly. In my opinion, Harley is a very interesting and honestly a very sad character at her core, and that's kind of why I wanted to talk about this episode today. So in this one, Harley attempts to prove herself to the Joker by planning to kill Batman. We find out through flashbacks that her origin as Dr. Harleen Quinzel was as a psychiatrist at Arkham. She gradually was manipulated by the Joker into becoming Harley Quinn, and that happens because obviously she is assigned to the Joker, and it's just so heartbreaking because she starts out so normal, so hopeful, and throughout the course of these flashbacks in this episode, you just see her steady descent into what she becomes. And it's kind of, for me, reminiscent of Star Wars, Anakin. If you guys watch episode 3, if you're like me, you always hope that Anakin will not turn to the dark side, that things will change somehow, that it won't go the way it's gone the past, 500 or so times that you've watched this. But it doesn't, and it's one of the worst parts about this episode. Just seeing how one I guess decision or choice in someone's life impacted it to this extent. Now, as I mentioned, things escalate. Joker's abuse escalates throughout this episode, and Harley's loyalty is tested as she suffers both physically, and emotionally. Even after surviving her attack from Joker, she returns to the Joker. A tragic cycle of abuse and obsession, and this is so real. And it honestly, it does break my heart to see this, because I hate stuff like this in real life. If you guys want to know anything about me, one thing that really, really, really bugs me is abuse of any kind against women, children, animals. It's just, I don't know what it is, but it definitely gets under my skin. And even seeing it in animation, it's like the last one. It's like I mentioned, the last one dealt with a child, or like a childlike character going through some sort of abuse, and that really just hits home, and so does this one. It's honestly hard to watch for that reason, and it's why I wanted to do a video on it. Because, as I mentioned, she keeps going back even after suffering so much abuse, and I feel like some people who may not understand things, or may not care to understand these types of processes, or whatever you want to call it, they're just quick to say, well, they're just stupid and they probably deserve to, they have what's coming to them if you're going to keep going back. But unfortunately, guys, it's not that simple, and this episode really showcases that well. They showcase the level of emotional manipulation that goes into these kind of relationships and why they keep happening. And honestly, this episode's a great reminder of why Joker and Harley are not couple goals, like some people like to say. As cute as some of the costumes may look together, they are not couple goals at all. Joker is a piece of shit. He's not a sympathetic character, in my opinion. Joker is evil. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with having evil characters. I feel like it's very popular nowadays for people to jump on the bandwagon and being like, well, they're a misunderstood, complicated character. No, not always. Sometimes evil's evil. And there is evil out there, for sure, in the real world. This episode, however, is disturbing because it shows that abuse, that manipulation, that psychological trauma realistically. And the cycle of abuse emphasizes the human darkness within Gotham. Beyond, that traditional monologuing villainy where everyone's always after some outlandish stuff, or everything's just money driven, or surface level crime, or some goofy cartoon crime. This episode showcased a different side to Gotham's villains, or villain in the Joker. And it honestly gives the audience, or gave me at least, a lot more sympathy to Harley. And there's an episode down the line where this whole show, honestly, as a whole, does a good job of showcasing how Batman truly does care about his villains, and he wants them to reform. That is why Batman's no-kill rule is so important, because Batman, as much as people cling to characters like Superman and Spider-Man for hope, and they definitely are hopeful, Batman, I think, should be thrown in that ring for discussion on being a hopeful superhero, because he does not give up on his villains. As easy as it would be for Batman to just kill the Joker and end the cycle of violence, or kill Harley, or kill all these whack jobs, he doesn't, because he sees the good in them. He sees that they are complicated people just going through horrible things, going through abuse, or there's usually a reason they got to where they were. And I really like that they showed this side of Harley, because it's so easy to make the girlfriend of a villain like the Joker, of all people, just crazy and obsessive, and there's just no reason. She's just cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. But no, they actually give you a really good reason for it, and it's one that I personally definitely believe. Mad Love cemented Harley as a complex and multidimensional character in animation, not just a sidekick or comic relief. And like I said, guys, you want to talk about legacy, this episode is legacy personified. Everything that this episode introduced, from the character of Harley herself, but also, like I mentioned, to her dynamic with the Joker alone, has not really been tweaked too much, even nowadays. I mean, for the most part, their dynamic is the same. It's abusive, it's a cycle of violence, and honestly, Harley, deep down, is a better person than the Joker. One who doesn't really deserve to be stuck in the position that she's in. And that's why Mad Love is such a memorable episode for me. Mad Love shows how obsession can destroy someone from the inside out. And that's why I believe it's so unforgettable and disturbing. And it's ironic that the title is Mad Love, because, I could be talking about the episode, but I could also just be talking about mad love in general, in real life. I've seen it firsthand with love, or I guess the false sense of love will make people do. And I think that's obviously what this episode is, because while it is titled Mad Love, there's clearly not much love here, at least on Joker's half. And even Harley's behalf, love is misinterpreted. It's kind of, to her, she thinks love is one thing and it's another. And I can relate to that because, well, I've had that in my personal life, and it's not until I luckily found my wife that I understood what, true love is. So, yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed what I had to say about this episode. I found it very, I don't want to say enjoyable, but interesting to go back through And I think it's a very valuable piece of media to have out there. I think it's a good cautionary tale. So I want to know what you guys think of it down below. If you think there is a better or a more disturbing episode or piece of Batman media in cartoon or animated form, let me know. I'm interested to hear what you guys have to say. Let me know what you think about my thoughts on this episode. Do you think I'm right? Do you think I'm wrong? I will say a lot of this stuff, some of it just hits harder for me, so you guys may not think of it that deep, but for me it just does. I don't really know what else to say. So yeah, if you guys stuck around this long, I do appreciate it. Your time is very valuable, and I know you could spend it anywhere, so thanks for spending it here. And until next time, I'll see you guys in the next one.